Hi, welcome to Truth by Billie Beene Flash Update. Today's date, December 25, 2024, time in Texas, about 5 p.m. I hope your Christmas is continuing to be wonderful. So this will be a flash update covering the past several days. We'll begin with, we had a plane crash over the Caspian Sea, and what's going on with the U.S. and NATO getting ready to invade Belarus. So it has come out in the past few days from multiple sources, including Hal Turner, that the U.S. and NATO are currently staging in Poland and Lithuania 30,000 troops, with the objective being to invade Belarus to effect a regime change and neutralize the current president of Belarus, Lukashenko. We know that recently Russia placed inside Belarus Orishnik intermediate ICBMs as well as nukes. So we'll have to see how this is going to play out. This morning, Ukraine hit inside Russia near the Kursk area with using U.S. HIMARS and hit civilian targets, a sugar factory, power plant, and apartment building. And it's also coming out that Russia has neutralized up to 40,000 of the U.S., NATO, supposedly a few Ukrainians in the Kursk area since that offensive began about 2 months ago. And now this morning, I was wondering why a plane crash was getting so much attention internationally. So this morning, flying from Azerbaijan to a Russian area, Chechnya, was an Azerbaijan Airlines E-190, which crashed over the Caspian Sea right on the shore of Kazakhstan. And it was being reported as a bird strike. And yet, President Putin came out to make a presser, and the first thing he did was express condolences for the families who had lost loved ones in this plane crash. This Azerbaijan airline E-190. We're hearing different numbers of souls on board, between 100 to 62. We are hearing that most passed away in the crash and that 28 have survived. The passengers were primarily from Azerbaijan, but included citizens from Russia, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan. So this plane took off from Azerbaijan this morning. At some point, it was squawking 7700, which is an emergency frequency. And now it's coming out that apparently this Azerbaijan plane was shot down. So it was going from Azerbaijan to an area of Russia, Chechnya, over the Caspian Sea. Apparently it was shot down, was shot, and lost hydraulics. I have a report from blancolirio. I'll link that for you, that details the logistics of the mechanical aspects of the crash. And tried to land in Kazakhstan, but crashed and lost most of the people on board. Now it's coming out. It's highly likely the Azerbaijan civilian plane was shot down by Ukraine. Associated Press reports that Ukraine had been launching drones into the Chechnya area. One report was for Sunday, where they had hit a campus where Russian National Guard that was a military target. So we see Ukraine had been documented as putting drones into Chechnya. It's believed this Azerbaijan civilian plane was hit by a Ukrainian drone this morning. So that's going on. And now we'll talk about what's going on in the U.S. I believe this second term of President Trump is going to be fun. He already wants to annex Canada, buy Greenland, and also take over the Panama Canal. So we say, bring it, President Trump. We, the people, support you. So, yeah, President Trump has this. Yeah, so near Washington, D.C., there's an area called Mount Weather that had been under the control of FEMA until the White Hats under President Trump's first term took it. Oh no, he was out of office, but it was the White Hats. 2022 took it over, and this is the location from which the EBS would be broadcast. In other words, a national emergency message that would go out to all Americans, TV, radio, cell phones, and so on. So since 2022, this has been under the control of the White Hats. And I reported on that in 2022. We had Delta forces and other U.S. military special forces take over Mount Weather. They neutralized between 12 to 20 FEMA agents. Since then, FEMA has tried to retake it from the U.S. military 3 times. There are underground tunnels here, and there have been hot shooting fire exchange between FEMA and the U.S. military 3 times since 2022. Now, President Trump is back in the saddle, and it appears the U.S. military now wants to juice up the EBS. And on December 12, we had U.S. military, according to a source out of Camp Pendleton, go to Mount Weather. It was a platoon of Army network specialists from Fort Gordon, accompanied by 7th Special Forces to upgrade the EBS. They went in December 12, and they are still there and holding the fort. And now we have this. Yeah. So President Trump, in a recent Mar-a-Lago meeting with Trudeau from Canada, kept referring to Canada as the 51st state and to Trudeau as Governor Trudeau. Can it be that the U.S. will annex Canada? And with regard to Greenland, so Greenland, we've got the North Pole, Canada, Greenland, right here. And President Trump says we need Greenland for U.S. national security. And apparently we have a large space station there. And with Panama, President Trump makes this public statement that China, the CCP, Chinese military, are illegally operating the Panama Canal. Now, some years ago, the U.S., I think that was under either Carter or Clinton, returned the Panama Canal to the country of Panama, which then subsequently sold it to China. Now, according to President Trump, when the handover from the U.S. to Panama took place, there were certain provisions in it, and apparently the Chinese military CCP taking control of the Panama Canal then triggers the U.S. retaking the Panama Canal. And is it possible that this would be a military dust-up? At any rate, President Trump is making these public statements. And with Greenland, he has named as the ambassador Ken Howry, who founded PayPal and under President Trump's first term was the ambassador to Sweden. So Greenland is owned by Denmark. Ken is going to be the ambassador now to Denmark. And I noticed that the Prime Minister of Denmark came out and said, no, Denmark's not interested in selling Greenland. And I see the governor of Panama coming out and saying, no, we're not going to let the Panama Canal go. And for Panama, President Trump has named Kevin Marino Cabrera as the ambassador. He currently works in Florida, Miami-Dade International Trade Consortium. So yeah, I think this second term of President Trump is going to be fun. I love you, and I'll see you soon.